Good morning, everyone, and you're very welcome to today's webinar. Before we get started, I just want to say that today's webinar is being recorded, and we will send everyone an email later today with a link to the recording of the webinar and a copy of the presentation slides. First of all, I want to introduce ourselves. My name is Rachel Hines, and I'm the Marketing Manager here at BrightPay. And I'm sure most of you are probably aware that we have two different payroll packages. We have BrightPay Payroll and Thesaurus Payroll Manager. For today's webinar, I'm delighted to be joined by Tom Kelly from Modulr. Tom is the strategic lead for Modulr's commitment to creating simple, secure, and reliable payment capabilities for SMEs and their accountants. And I'll be passing over the reins to Tom, who will be presenting most of today's webinar. If you have any questions, you can type them into the questions box on your control panel at the side of the screen throughout the webinar, and we will try to get through as many questions as possible at the end. To start off today, I want to look at why we have decided to partner with Modulr. A lot of what we do and a lot of the features that we introduce are about making our customers' lives easier. And with our new integration with accounting software in BrightPay, and now we have also added this new partnership with Modulr. So I know Tom is going to look at the functionality and the benefits in much more detail, but I just want to give you a quick introduction to what this functionality actually does. Payroll software is used to calculate employees' wages, deduct the right tax and pensions, and communicate this information to revenue. You can also issue payslips to employees and create bank files to make payments to employees. However, before now, when actually making the payment to employees, it was a very manual process with a lot of steps involved. And this is where our new integration with Modulr comes in. Instead of creating bank files, you can choose a new option to pay by Modulr, giving you a fast, secure, and easy way to pay employees through both BrightPay Payroll and Thesaurus Payroll Manager. For now, I'm going to leave it at that, as I don't want to cover too much of what Tom is going to go through. So I'm going to pass you over to Tom now to kick off the webinar.
Thank you, Rachel. So firstly, I wanted to cover who are Modulr. So Modulr is a payments as a service platform, and we focus on automating end-to-end payment flows, which enables our partners such as Thesaurus and BrightPay to embed payment functionality into their software to provide you with a seamless workflow for their customers. The benefits of this is that it removes any manual processes that are inherent in traditional payment activity that you'll be using today. And this is all supported by a reliable platform that's been trusted to transact over 70 million payments worth over 58 billion euro since we started. So why use Modulr in your business? Many of you on this webinar will be able to relate to some of the headaches caused by payroll and payment workflows. Outside of using efficient payroll software such as Thesaurus or BrightPay, actually making the payments is often very focused on manual processes. Having numerous pain points can lead to costly errors, and as we know, payroll needs to be right first time, every time. If you're dealing with clunky processes, this is going to increase your overheads and can be very costly to your business. Coupled with the need to keep up with regulatory changes, it sometimes can be difficult and very challenging for any business. So what are the benefits to your business of an integrated payment solution with Modulr? Firstly, it enables you to save time and maximize efficiencies. By having the integration, you will eliminate errors from an automated payment workflow, which means no downloading of files and manually keying into your bank. You'll have access to the payment network 24/7. And you have the benefits of being connected to a secure and compliant network. You'll also have full transparency of your workflows and richer business insights that come from the data available. Now I'd like to provide an overview of how the solution works in practice. The solution allows you to manage your payroll in a few simple clicks. You run the payroll as normal through BrightPay or Thesaurus. Then you receive a daily notification of any payments that are awaiting your approval. You need to ensure that funds are topped up into your Modulr account, and these can be remitted from any bank in Ireland. And then your authorizer will approve the payments in just a few clicks, and then the payments will be remitted. Payments can be made same day if they're submitted before 2 p.m, or you can future date them up to a year in advance. Now we'll move to the product demo, and Rachel will show you the payment software functionality, and I'll show you how it works on the Modulr side.
Great, thanks Tom. So as I mentioned, we offer two payroll software solutions, Thesaurus Payroll Manager and BrightPay, and this integration with Modulr is available in both systems. So first I'll start with BrightPay, and then I'll show you the same process in Thesaurus Payroll Manager. The first step, as Tom said, is to run your payroll as normal in BrightPay. And after you have finalized the payslips, simply click on Pay, and then choose Modulr from the drop-down. On the first screen here, you will be given some information about what you can do with Modulr. It's important to note that if you wish to use this feature, you will need to set up an account with Modulr in advance, and there's a link here to sign up to Modulr on this first screen. I already have a Modulr account set up, so I'm going to continue. And first you'll be prompted to enter your Modulr username and password. And once completed, we'll click Sign in to Modulr. You will also need to authenticate your Modulr login through an app called Authy on your smartphone, and you will have already set up and installed Authy on your device when setting up your Modulr account. You'll get a notification on your device, and you need to simply click Approve as you would with logging into online banking. Once signed in, a match attempt will be made to your Modulr account using the employer registration number entered in your BrightPay employer file. Where a successful match is detected, your employer name will be displayed automatically, or if not, you can choose the employer's name from the drop-down menu. And I'll click Continue. On the next screen here, you will see a list of your employees on screen, and the employees will only appear here if their payment method is set to credit transfer. Here you can set the amount or the account that you want to make the payment from and enter the payment date. And where you set this payment request before 2 p.m, you will be able to make same-day payments. Here you can deselect any employees who you wish to exclude from the payment run. You can double check that the IBAN is correct for each employee. And again, this information is taken from the employee's record in BrightPay. You can enter a payment reference if you wish. And then the payment amount for each employee will reflect the employee's take-home pay on their payslip for the pay period being paid. You can amend the figure here if you wish. When ready, we'll click Continue. A summary of your payment request will now be displayed for final review. And when ready to submit the payment request to Modulr, click Send to Modulr. Another Authy notification will be sent to your smartphone asking for you to approve the payment request submission. And once approved, confirmation will be displayed on the screen. The person authorized on the associated Modulr account can now log in to their Modulr portal to approve the payments. So that's the process in BrightPay, but now I'm going to jump into Thesaurus Payroll Manager, and to be honest, the process is pretty much identical to the process that we just saw with BrightPay, so I may sound a little bit repetitive here. After updating your payslips as you normally would, go to Payslips and then select Pay using Modulr from the drop-down. On the first screen here, again, we have an overview of Modulr with links to sign up and fields to enter your username and password. Like with BrightPay, you will need to authorize the login through the Authy app on your smartphone by clicking Approve. And once signed in, a match attempt will be made to your Modulr account using the employer registration number that's been entered in your Thesaurus Payroll Manager employer file. Where a successful match is detected, the name will be displayed automatically, or again, if not, you can choose the name from the drop-down. When ready, click Continue. We're through to the main screen here now, and as you can see, it's pretty identical to the same screen in BrightPay. You can choose the account that you want to make the payment from and enter the payment date. A default reference of salary will be entered for each employee, but if you wish to change this, you can click on this field on the employee's payment line and enter your new reference. Or you can also enter a global reference if you wish to change the reference for all employees. Again, remember to double check that the IBAN is correct for each employee, and the payment amount will include the take-home pay for employees on their payslip for this pay period. If you wish to exclude any employees from the payment submission, simply click on the word Yes, and it will update to include the include column to say no, so that they won't be included in the submission. By default, the employees who will have an end date within the pay period will be set to no, meaning they won't be included in the payment. But if you wish to include leavers, you can click on the word no beside their payment value to change it to yes. When you're happy that everything is correct, click Continue to proceed. A summary of the payment request will be displayed on screen, and when you're ready to submit the payment request, click Send to Modulr. An Authy notification will be sent to your smartphone asking for you to approve the payment request submission. And once approved, confirmation will be displayed on the screen, and the person authorized on the associated Modulr account can now log into Modulr to approve the payments. And Tom, I'll pass it back to you now to show how it works on the Modulr side of things.
Thanks, Rachel. So anybody that is set up within your business as an approver will receive a daily notification of any transactions that are awaiting your approval. Once you've received that, you can log in. Again, using the Authy app that Rachel mentioned, you would just authenticate your login process, click Approve on your smartphone, and then you'll be presented with the details of your Modulr account and its current balance. So here you've got your full IBAN details for the account that you need to fund. And it shows here that I've got a balance of €3,657.07. I can see on the left-hand side that I've got 4 approvals awaiting my approval. So I'll just click into those. And then this is showing the 4 payments that Rachel sent from the BrightPay or Thesaurus software. I'm happy with all of those transactions, so I'm going to select them all by clicking the button at the top. That selects all 4 payments, and then I can choose to approve or reject, and I can do that for individual payments, or I can select them all in one go. So I'm going to approve them. This is just confirming that I'm going to approve 4 payments for the value of €3,657.07. I click Approve. I get another Authy authentication, just confirming on my smartphone device the value and the processing date of the payments. I'll approve that on the phone, and then it's showing that that is the end of the process for me. Now, if those payments were due to go today, then they would be immediately sent into the payment network. But as we saw in the submission, these have been future dated for the 2nd of November. So I will be able to see them at any time in the pending payments section on the portal. And I can see that all the payments are there awaiting on the due date to be sent is Tuesday, the 2nd of November. On that date, Modulr will then automatically remit those payments into the payment network, and they will be received by the beneficiaries on the same day. Anything that's submitted after 2 p.m. would then go through on the following day. And that's all that's required to approve your payments and submit them into the payment network. Moving back to the slides, I'll be able to take you through the pricing options, how to onboard, and then the service and support that would be available to you. Okay, firstly, looking at the pricing options, there are 3 main pricing plans available to you. All are transaction-based pricing. There are no lengthy commitments, and everything is on a rolling monthly contract basis. Payment is made by card, which is entered at the time of first subscription. So we have 3 pricing plans. The standard one, which is 30 cents per transaction, and that's subject to a monthly minimum spend of 12 euros. So included within your monthly minimum spend of 12 euros are 40 outbound transactions, and any transaction over the 40 is charged at 30 cents. If you're doing higher volumes, anything over 500 outbound transactions, then your per transaction fee is reduced to 27 cents. This is subject to minimum monthly spend of 135 euros, and that includes 500 outbound transactions in that package, and every additional transaction beyond the 500 being charged at 27 cents. For anybody that does have high volume, over 1,500 transactions a month, then your per transaction rate falls down to 25 cents. That's subject to a minimum monthly spend of 300 euros, with all additional transactions being charged at 25 cents. For anybody on the webinar that does have significantly higher volumes than the ones that are in these pricing plans, then you can speak with one of my team and we can look at more bespoke pricing for anything that is significant volumes. Okay, now moving to how to onboard your business onto the platform. So Modulr is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland, and due to that regulation, we're required to conduct due diligence checks on all of our customers. So to complete that, we will require you to complete an application form that requires some standard business information. That form is submitted online, and we normally approve applications within 2 days if they contain all the required information, and especially if you have a straightforward company structure and your beneficial owners are based in Ireland. You can submit more complex applications, but they may take a little longer than 2 days for us to complete all the checks, and we may need to be in contact with you for additional information. So we always say to allow enough time to fully onboard before your next payroll run, just in case there are any additional information checks that we need to take. In terms of the company types or application types that we can accept private limited companies, designated activity companies, companies limited by guarantee, limited partnerships, general partnerships, sole traders, and unlimited companies. So if your business falls into one of those categories, then you will be able to submit an application through the online portal. So the process, once you are ready to submit, is you would select your subscription package from the pricing plans that I mentioned earlier. Modulr will, and then you'll complete your application. Modulr will review that application. Once we have approved it, we'll send you a welcome email. That will have instructions on how to download the Authy app that we've mentioned onto your smartphone. And then you'll have direct access to log into the portal and start using Modulr straight away. Support for the solution is provided by the Modulr team based in the UK, with enhanced levels of support available during our core working hours of 8 AM to 6 PM on weekdays. Contact can be via telephone, email, and we'll also provide you with 24/7 access to our knowledge hub that should answer most questions that customers would raise. That's the end of my segment. I've provided my contact details there for further information. There's a website that you can go to that provides even more detail and some explanations of some of the processes, and also an email address so that you can contact our team directly for further information. And I'll hand you back to Rachel.
Wonderful, thanks, Tom. So I'm just going to open the questions here, but again, just to say, if you do have any questions, feel free to type them into the questions box on your screen, and we will get through as many questions as we can. So the first question here is, does the global payment reference appear on our bank statement or on the employee's bank statement?
The payment reference will appear on the employee's bank statement.
Great. Can the authorized user be the same as the original payroll administrator who submitted the payments to Modulr?
So the approver can, yes. So you can set up the solution to have different user types, and you could set all of your users to be approvers if you wanted that to be the case.
Great. And the next question here. If you use a payment date of the 12th of November 2021, will wages appear in the employee's bank account that day, regardless of the Irish bank that the employee is with?
Yeah, so as long as you, so if you future date the payment and do that in advance, then Modulr will remit that payment in the early hours of that day. So we make sure that we are submitting ahead of the 2 PM deadline. And then all of the Irish banks that are part of the scheme commit that as long as the payment is remitted before 2 PM, that then those funds will be available in the beneficiary's account on that calendar day. If you are submitting sort of on the day, then you need to make sure that you are submitting it into the platform before 2 PM. Anything that happens after 2 PM would then be credited the following business day.
Great. So the next question here is kind of two in one, so I'll take it one part at a time. Can you have Modulr on a PC, or does it have to be on a smartphone?
No, you can have Modulr on the PC, so through your browser, and you can also have Authy on the PC as well, so you don't have to download it to a smartphone if that's not available to you.
Okay, and kind of a follow-up question came into there that as well. How many phones can be linked to the Modulr account?
So it's one device, one smartphone device, but you can, as I say, you can also have the web-based version available on your PC.
Great. We sometimes pay, we say 90% of people and need to wait on further information and pay the last employees maybe a few days later. Can you do this, pay some of your employees and pay the balance later?
I'm not sure I understand that question. Sorry, could you just repeat it?
Yeah, I suppose to rephrase it myself, if you had 10 employees on the payroll, that you could pay 5 now and 5 in a few days' time.
Yeah, so I guess whatever you choose, when you select on the screens within the BrightPay software or the Thesaurus software, you are ticking which employees you want to pay, and then you're selecting the payment date. So I guess you would select the 5 that you wanted to pay now, submit those payments, and then you could either then select the other 5 and choose a future date and then submit them at the time, or then submit them at a later date. Once they sit within the Modulr portal, they'll either have an immediate date or they'll have a future date, but you can approve them at any time. If they've got a future date on them, then we will hold them on the Modulr platform until the due date.
Great. Just looking at the next question here. At the outset, you said funds needed in the Modulr account. Do we need to have funds in the Modulr account or just our own bank account for payment?
So the funds need to be sitting in the Modulr account before the payments will be released. So you would generally fund the Modulr account from your existing bank account just in time for your payroll runs. So if you're doing a weekly payroll run, most businesses would send us a weekly payment. If it's monthly, you'd send us a monthly payment. And it's just ensuring that you have enough funds to cover the total value of all the payroll transactions that are going out. If you submit payments into the Modulr platform and you don't have sufficient funds, then the payments will hold until the funds are received.
Great. The next question here is, can you show the price plan again for Modulr? So will I jump back to that slide here?
Okay.
So I'm not sure if you want to quickly explain it again, Tom, just the
Yeah,
pricing and how it works.
Yeah, of course. So the standard pricing is 30 cents per transaction. And that's based on you doing up to 40 transactions, which means that you'd have a monthly minimum spend of 12 euros. And then every transaction that you do over the 40 would be charged at 30 cents. If you've got higher volumes, once you get up to the realms of around 500 transactions per month, then your per transaction fee drops down to 27 cents. That's subject to minimum monthly spend of 135 euros, and each additional transaction charged at 27 cents. And then from even higher volumes, anybody that's doing over or around 1,500 outbound transactions a month, your per transaction fee then comes down to 25 cents, based on a monthly minimum spend of 300 euros.
Great, thanks Tom for that. Can transfers be made to Revolut or other foreign accounts?
So you can make a payment to any IBAN within the SEPA region. So we have the Single European Payment Zone, which consists of 36 countries. And we can provide a list of those after the webinar for anybody that needs those details.
Brilliant. The next question here is, how secure is the system?
So it's because it's fully integrated, it means that the solution is you're not taking any data out of BrightPay or Thesaurus. It's been automatically transmitted over to Modulr, which means that it reduces any sort of risks of taking data out of your process. And our solution is tried and tested, fully secure, and that's why we have things like the Authy app to authenticate people's access, to ensure that you don't just have a user details and password, you're also having a second authentication method before you can access the system. So it's fully secure and protected.
Great. Someone is just looking for clarification here. So on the current account statement, does the net figure for each employee appear?
Yes, so the payment that is being made once it gets to Modulr is the net figure that's being transmitted across from the BrightPay or Thesaurus software. So we will just be, once you log into Modulr, you'll only see the net figures that are being paid.
Perfect. What happens if you have a problem with your phone, for example, if it breaks, or if you get a new phone and move the SIM card? What process do you have to go through, please?
Yeah, so you can contact our support center and they will talk you through revalidating your new device and activating the Authy app on that device. And as I say, if you have got a problem with your device or you've lost your phone and you still need to authorize and approve payments, then you can also use the web version of Authy as well.
Okay, brilliant. How much time is required between topping up the Modulr account balance prior to the actual outgoing payment date?
So as long as the funds are there when the payments are approved and ready to leave the Modulr platform, then the payments will go. Because of the way SEPA credit transfers work, and that you have to submit before 2 p.m. to ensure funds are received same day, we would generally say to make sure that you have the funds in your account the day before you want to run your payroll, so that you're not running any risks of your payments being delayed. So I would always say under the current process that you submit the funds the day before your payroll.
Great. And there's another question here on funding the Modulr account. Can you submit money to Modulr that can cover a few weeks' wages, or do you just do a weekly transfer to cover the wages for that week?
No, you can submit as many funds as you like. The account is not interest bearing, so you just need to bear that in mind. But we do have customers that would send sort of larger chunks of funds over so that they don't have to worry about sending individual payments during the month.
Great. If you have 10 staff, will it be €12 per month as that's the minimum spend, or is it 10 by 30 cents?
The minimum is €12 per month. So depending on how frequently you're paying them, but if it was 10 staff being paid once a month, then yes, you would be billed for €12. That includes 40 payments. So it's once you go over 40 payments that you then pay the 30 cents per transaction.
Okay. Next question here is, are there bank charges on the Modulr account?
No, so the only fees that you would pay are the fees that we've outlined in the subscription payment structures. So the per transaction fees. There's no, it's not subject to any additional bank charges.
Brilliant. Is the transaction pricing done as one transaction per employee or one transaction per total payroll submitted?
It's one transaction per employee that is being paid. So every payment that is being made to an employee results in an outbound transaction.
Great. What financial security is required from Modulr?
So we're regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland, and as an e-money institution, we are required to ring fence 102% of all client funds. So this ensures that the funds are fully protected regardless of the value that you transfer into the Modulr platform.
Brilliant. The next question here then is, can surplus money in Modulr account be refunded on request?
Yeah, so you would have, through the portal, you can just set up an ad hoc payment to repatriate any funds back to your original bank account or to a bank account using the IBAN.
Brilliant. Sorry, I'm just looking through the questions here. I know there's a few kind of repeat questions. Seeing here one or two are looking for the country list as well that we will send on after the webinar.
Yeah.
There's a question here, can I pay other bills via Modulr as well?
So in the same way that I just mentioned around sending the funds back to your own bank account, if you've got too much funds in the Modulr account, then you can create an ad hoc payment through the portal. So yes, you could do that by individually keying the full IBAN details and beneficiary information into the portal and then submit it in the usual way, and then it would go through the standard approval process that we've just walked through.
Brilliant. Just looking here, I think that's most of the questions answered. I think there's one or two there that will probably be more for Modulr to follow up directly on an individual basis. So yeah, I think we'll finish up there for today. We will send out the recording of the webinar after today's webinar later on today with a copy of the slides as well. But a massive thank you again to Tom for joining us for the webinar, and thanks to everyone who logged on to watch the webinar as well, and we hope you found it useful. Thank you. Bye.